Well, hello. So, that was very cheesy. So you want to hear the truth about weight loss surgery. I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly that I've learned over the last 2 years since having the vertical sleeve gastrectomy, which was one of a multiple number of surgeries that people are now having to help aid with weight loss. First, I want to talk about the biggest misconception that there is about weight loss surgery, and that is people think that it's the easy way out. It is not the easy way out. It is one option that people have to aid themselves with weight loss. The biggest reason that bothers me when I hear people calling surgery the easy way out is because I think about the majority of people going into hospitals are going there because of poor nutrition. They have things like cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, and no one ever tells them, well, you're taking the easy way out by shooting themselves up with insulin or taking their blood pressure medication and all that sort of stuff. But in the reality is it's kind of the same thing. They're turning to the medical profession for help because their nutrition is out of control. Yes, a small part of it is genetics, but a lot of it is controlled by what we eat. When somebody goes into the hospital and has a double, triple, quadruple bypass because they've had a heart attack, generally these aren't thin, healthy people that are eating foods like fish, whole grains, vegetables. These are people that have a weight problem, that eat very poorly. And no one ever tells the guy that went in for a double bypass, oh, buddy, you took the easy way out. You should have fixed it yourself. No one ever tells the person, the 400-pound person that had a hip replacement, oh, you took the easy way out. You should have lost weight on your own and not needed your hip replaced. So to me, it's really bothersome when people say stuff like that because it's just another surgery, another medical thing to help people with the problem. But at least this thing that I did, that people do, can help reduce a lot of the other needs, such as the medications that I mentioned earlier, or having to have your leg amputated because your diabetes isn't under control, or, just stuff like that. So anyways, that's my biggest frustration was when I hear people say it's the easy way out. Second biggest misconception that I hear is that you'll never gain the weight back. I actually went on vacation recently. On the way down, I was reading a book written by a woman who had weight loss surgery. I want to say it was written in 1999 or so. And she, throughout the entire book, and even on the back of the book, just said over and over and over and over, I lost 125 pounds and I'll never gain it back again, never gain it back again, never gain it back again. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You can and will gain it back again if you're not careful. So that really bothers me when people, have this idea that people who have weight loss surgery lose all this weight, they don't have to put any work into it, and then they're just going to stay thin or wherever they end up without any work to maintain that weight. And that is absolutely not true. I've mentioned this in other videos. I don't know if this is your first time tuning in, but I've mentioned in other videos that I've met people that have had 1, 2, 3 surgeries and have gained all their weight back plus more. Those of you that watch The Biggest Loser, you've seen contestants on there weighing 200 pounds, 250, 300 pounds that have had weight loss surgery. Some of the contestants, you see them with their huge scars starting here, going all the way down. Those people had weight loss surgery, gained all their weight back, went on to The Biggest Loser. So it's not this magic thing that just suddenly makes all your problems go away. You have to put the work into it as well. The best way for me to explain surgery to somebody is it's like when you're bowling and you're using bumper guards. Just because the bumper guards are up, it doesn't mean you're going to get a strike. It doesn't mean you're going to knock all the pins down on your first try and everything's great and wonderful and woohoo. But it's there to assist you. It makes it a little easier so you don't fall down when you're in the beginning stages of learning. So that is the best analogy I have for weight loss surgery, is that it is bumper guards in bowling that help you, but do not, just because you have the bumper guards up doesn't mean it's going to be a complete success. Doesn't mean you're going to win the game. And it's the same thing when you have surgery. It doesn't mean it's going to be a complete success. Doesn't mean you're going to win the game. One other thing I want to talk about is, I got to kind of give a little explanation before I go into this. Let's say in the past when I weighed 200 and almost 45 pounds, and ideally I should weigh around 145 pounds. What that means is I have 100 pounds of excess weight. Now, surgeons consider weight loss surgery a success if you lose 50% of your excess weight. So if I was a 250-pound person who needed to lose 100 pounds. My doctors would then consider it a success if I got down to 200 pounds. Now, realistically speaking, if I were still 200 pounds, I would be overweight or obese. So that is one thing to consider, is that just because you have weight loss surgery doesn't mean you're going to get down all the way to what people refer to as high school skinny, and that drives me nuts. But anyways, generally it's considered a success if you lose 50% of your excess weight, and most people lose somewhere around 60% of their excess weight. I was very blessed. I was very determined. I was very hardworking. I lost 100% of my excess weight. I've gained back a very small amount, about 5 pounds. So now I go between 95 and 100% of my excess weight was lost. But I did a lot of work. I've changed my diet. I've changed my rituals. I've changed the people I hang out with. I've changed the locations I go to. I've changed the food that I buy. So I used my bumper guards wisely while they were up, and I retrained myself. And I want to go back, I want to flash back to 2 years ago, so you can see me and what some of my goals were going into the surgery.
Today I want to talk about why I'm getting the surgery. I think most people think that people get weight loss surgery because they want to be skinny. That's not the biggest reason. I can't lie and say that that's not one of my motivations. However, there are other factors going into this. Number one, I have what's known as polycystic ovary syndrome. In short, it's kind of like a chemical imbalance that causes me to have a couple different problems. And then the biggest thing about the diagnosis that I don't like is that I don't have any children yet. However, I don't know if I can get pregnant. Most women that have polycystic ovary syndrome are either infertile or have a very hard time becoming pregnant. By having the surgery, I'm going to be able to eliminate a lot of these problems. Now that I have the polycystic ovary syndrome and I'm getting a little bit older, I'm finding that I can't drop the weight like I used to. In addition to that is my emotional eating. When I'm stressed, when I'm mad, when I'm sad, when I'm whatever, food is what I've always turned to. I think a lot of people have problems with the surgery because they don't realize why they're overeating. They don't really realize where the problem's coming from. I was going to get this surgery a few years ago. I apologize, I know I'm jumping from topics. I was going to get the surgery a few years ago, but I got scared. I saved up all the money. I was going to go to Thailand, and I was really scared that I was going to die. Looking back, I'm glad I didn't do it then because I know so much more about myself now. I've been in therapy for a few years. I understand why I overeat. However, I need some sort of system put into place that's going to stop me from being able to do that. So one word of advice I have for myself and for other people is first know why you're overeating so you can try to fix that problem. I know that the gastric sleeve is only going to be a tool. It's not going to be a cure. You know, unless I change my behaviors, unless I change why I'm overeating, it's not going to go away. So I'm looking at this surgery as like a reset button that's going to help me get down to a healthy weight. I'll continue going to therapy. I will continue learning how to deal with things so I don't want to eat when I'm stressed out. Okay, so that's number two. Then I need a system in place to stop me from being able to overeat while I continue to work on those things, you know, on a side note. Third reason, which is just as important as the other two, is I'm a very active person. Like I said, I'm in Ecuador right now. The surgery is going to be in Mexico. I go to Puerto Rico a lot. I'm always traveling. I'm always out doing something. I feel like my body cannot keep up with my mind, and that is very frustrating. And I want my mind and body to be in sync. I do go to the gym. I do work out. I'm probably more active than some of my skinny friends that I know. And it's just very frustrating to have a body that doesn't represent what's going on inside of me. Lastly, I do think that thick women are beautiful. I don't like the heroin look, the, you know, real skinny skin and bones. I don't like that. I think that a thicker woman is beautiful. However, what I don't like about my body is that I'm not proportionate. Like I said, most of the weight does go around the center. And, you know, just overall feeling better about myself, living longer, not eliminating, but reducing some health risks that being overweight has.
Okay, so just to kind of review that quickly is I talked about my polycystic ovarian syndrome, which I no longer have symptoms of now that I've lost weight. I mentioned that I needed a system of control. I needed to do something to help me control myself. I was out of control around food. And if this is what it took for me to gain control, then so be it. And that is one of the greatest things that the surgery has given me. And it's a very fine line. It doesn't give it to you forever. but it gives you for a short while. It takes away your ability to just keep shoving food in your mouth over and over and over. Um, so while I kind of retrained my mind, got my emotions in check, um, the surgery offered me that system of control. So that is one goal that I definitely accomplished. The next step, I mentioned that my mind and body, I wanted them to be more in tune with one another. I wanted a body that represented what was going on inside of me. I've had so much success in other areas. It was very frustrating to me to be carrying around a 200 and almost 50-pound body. It's embarrassing. You don't feel feminine. You don't feel professional. You don't feel, a lot of different things that being overweight took away from me. With that being said, I hope people don't think that when they lose weight that they're suddenly going to feel all happy and bubbly and all their problems are going to go away. That's another big misconception people have about weight loss surgery, is you have to work on those things in your life that were causing you to overeat in the first place, that were causing you to feel depressed and anxious and stressed in the first place, because they don't suddenly go away just because you don't have an extra 100 pounds on your back. Next up, I mentioned that I wanted my body to be more proportionate. For the most part, it is. I generally wear a size 6 now. Now that I've gained about 5 pounds, I'm between a 6 and an 8. I'm happy that I can go into regular clothing stores and find clothes. But one thing that I didn't really think about was the fact that I was going to have excess skin. That's another big reality that people need to think about. And now I'm in a position to where I feel like a 29-year-old trapped in a 55-year-old's body. Realistically speaking, I have what we call shrinkles. My body's kind of wrinkly, and not because I'm old, but because I shrunk. And it's kind of like when you blow up a balloon and then you let it out. It doesn't look so nice and plump anymore. It looks a little wrinkly. So that's one reality that I'm facing now, is that even though my body, yes, is a little more proportionate, I still have, areas that are not exactly what I would have hoped for, and I might have to one day correct those with surgery. Lastly, reducing health risks. I do believe I've definitely done that. I've had my blood work done recently. Everything looks great. Um, what else? I wanted to talk about the good stuff. I'm talking a lot about, like, what you're not going to get from surgery and telling people what it isn't. I'm going to tell you what it is, actually, also. Um, for the first time in my life, after I had surgery, I had no desire to eat. I've never experienced that before. I was always thinking about food. I always wanted food. If somebody said, "Are you hungry?" I didn't want to lie and say yes. So my response was always, "What do you want to eat?" Because I wanted to eat. It didn't matter if I was hungry or not. I didn't even know what it felt like to be hungry. For the first time in my life, I knew what it was like to feel full. I never had that before. I could go to the buffet and just eat and eat and eat and eat and eat, and I didn't feel anything. I was just numb to it. So it was nice to finally feel something in my stomach. I do have to say that that feeling doesn't last forever. Now I can eat more than I could, of course, right after surgery. Um, but the thing is I don't have the desire to eat like I used to, because it helped me gain control over myself to where I can leave something on my plate and push it away. Before I couldn't. The thought, I actually had a therapist recommend to me, years before I had the surgery, why don't you just leave one bite on your plate at every meal? And I almost cried when she told me that. Like, I was that addicted and attached to food that I almost cried at the thought of leaving one bite on my plate. Now I think that's just so sad where I was, and I'm so grateful that this surgery was able to help me pull myself out of that hole that I was in. One thing that I've learned is to chew my food. If I can't chew it, I don't swallow it. It's very rare that I eat at the Chinese buffet now, but I can say that the chicken there, I can't chew it. I don't swallow it. It's very rare that I eat red meat. Generally, I can't chew it enough to where I feel safe to swallow it. Not that it's going to hurt me, but my thought is, like, if my teeth that are really sharp can't break this food up, why am I going to send it down into my stomach and intestines? So it's really taught me how to chew before I just kind of scarfed my food down. Food doesn't have the hold over me that it did before. You know, and a lot of that has to do with my choices directly after surgery. I decided not to eat processed and refined foods. I didn't eat things that came out of a box or a can other than selected soups. You know, eating clean, I guess is what they call it. I ate fruits and vegetables and protein shakes and stuff like that. What else? One bad thing I have now from surgery that's really strange, I don't know what even it's from, is if I sleep on the side where my stomach was removed from, I actually have a lot of like discomfort in the morning. I don't know if it's the staple line when I'm laying on it that it's affecting me. I did hear one other person say something similar, so that's one downfall I've had. And I apologize, I've had the good, the bad, and the ugly mixed throughout this video. I didn't keep it organized very well. Overall, I'm very glad that I did it. I've accomplished the majority of my goals that I set out in having weight loss surgery. I just really want people to know that it's not the easy way out. It is God's hand reaching down and pulling you out of a hole. You know what I mean? It's something that is very, very, very helpful to people who are in a position to where it feels like nothing works. It's very devastating to be, you know, 100+ pounds overweight and to just feel like you're failing again and again and again. And, you know, that even brings up emotion for me now to talk about it, because I remember how I felt back then when I was overweight. And it's a horrible feeling. And for this surgery to be able to help me and to help other people is great. And I hate it when I have people leave comments on my videos that just, people can be so nasty sometimes about the things that they say. And I just wanted to put this out there to kind of get the truth out there about what surgery is and what it isn't. Lastly, sorry, I'm being a big baby here. I have my 3-month video where I was down like 70 pounds from my top weight. It's gotten a ridiculous amount of views. I think it's close to like 500,000 now. But people just leave the nastiest comments on there to where I've even considered taking it down. But then when I get, you know, this one person that says, thank you so much, you're so inspiring to me. I don't have money for surgery, but I'm going to go try to lose weight. You know, when I hear people say stuff like that, or when they tell me they were struggling and that video helped give them motivation again, that's the reason I leave it up. But I do take a lot of slack for putting these videos out there, but for those of you that these help, I'm very grateful for that. I'm sorry this video is forever long, but I guess I have a lot to say. Another thing is, in my 3-month video, I used an Aerosmith song, and he starts out at the beginning saying, I kept the right ones out, I let the wrong ones in. And that was so representative of my life when I was heavy, is I just allowed people into my life that were not good for me. And I think this happens a lot in relationships and friendships after weight loss surgery, is relationships fall apart because the person starts feeling better about themselves and they stop putting up with the type of behavior that they used to put up with in the past. So that's one thing, is a lot of times relationships fall apart. That's just one reason of why. I'm not going to go into great detail right now of other reasons that they fall apart. Another thing I wanted to say was, oh yeah, I remembered. Another thing I wanted to say is if people aren't careful after weight loss surgery, they end up picking up other addictions, whether it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, shopping. If you don't deal with whatever was causing you to overeat in the first place, it will come out in another way. So the biggest thing I want to stress to anybody is that this surgery doesn't fix anything. It is a reset button that helps you get yourself under control, lose the weight, and get back on track. It does not fix you. And I guess that's all. Thanks so much for watching. I thank you guys so much for your support. It really helps me when I get comments like I was saying a minute ago. So y'all are awesome.